All right, so congrats on jumping into the world of online business. Super exciting.
Yeah.
But before we get too far, we got to talk about like the legal side of things. It's kind of like you don't want to just jump in the ocean without making sure your scuba gear's all good to go, right?
Yeah, it's a great analogy, and we're like your dive buddies for this,
Yeah.
helping you navigate the legal requirements online.
Exactly. We're doing deep dive on this post. It's
Mm.
from blogwidow.com. Just came out a few days ago, February 21st. It's called The Legal Side of Online Business. What you need to know to stay compliant. You hear about business structures and stuff. Picking the right one is really important, right?
You can save you a ton of headaches later on. Think of it this way. Your business structure is like the foundation of everything. If you choose wisely, you've got a great base for growth. But if you don't, you could be setting yourself up for problems down the line. Legal problems, financial problems.
Okay, so let's break it down a little bit. We've got sole proprietorships, partnerships, LLCs, corporations. I always thought sole proprietorships were for like, Etsy shops, small side hustles. What if your online business is like your main business?
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting. If you want to scale up, maybe bring on investors. Or even if you just want that extra protection, between your personal stuff and your business, an LLC might be better.
So like if a customer sues you because they tripped over your online course content or something, your house and car are safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about mitigating risk. And this post makes a really good point about this. Always check your state's requirements because every state has its own rules. What works for your friend in California might not work for you in New York.
Right, okay, so we built our legal fortress, we've got the right business structure. What's next on the list to like keep our online empire safe?
Yes. Licenses and permits. This is an area a lot of people online kind of forget about. They think, oh, my storefront's digital. I don't have to worry about the rules that like a normal store would.
It's funny, I had a friend who started this online food delivery service, and she was doing great until she got hit with this huge fine because she didn't have the right food handling permits. Total
Yeesh.
surprise.
It's total. Getting a parking ticket in a virtual parking lot, you don't see the meter, but the rules still apply. This post really highlights this. If you're selling products, especially anything regulated like food or something, you might need permits, even if you're working from your kitchen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are officially scared straight about permits. Let's move on to something more fun. Protecting our amazing ideas. Intellectual property. All that digital gold we're creating online.
Yeah, and it is a gold mine, one you need to protect carefully. Think about it this way. You've put your heart and soul into creating this online course, something
Yeah.
super unique, super insightful. It's going to revolutionize, let's say, cat grooming.
Hold on. A cat grooming course. Now there's an idea.
Right, but what if someone comes along and steals your curriculum, your branding, your whole cat grooming empire? That's where things like trademarks, copyrights, patents come in.
So trademarks are for your brand name and logo. So copycats can't just steal your stuff. But I've heard that. If you post something online, it's basically public domain, right? Anyone can use it.
That is a myth that needs to be debunked. Just because your content is out there in the digital world doesn't mean it's free for everyone to take. Copyright laws still apply. So if you're using someone else's music for your videos, or even adapting their blog post without permission, you could be breaking the law.
So even if I credit the source, it's not okay.
Not always. It depends on the license. Always double check the terms. And if you're creating original content, courses, ebooks, anything, think about registering your copyrights. It gives you an extra layer of protection.
Okay, good to know. You mentioned patents earlier. I guess those are more for,
Mm.
like if you invent a revolutionary cat grooming brush or something. Not so much the content itself.
That's a good distinction. Patents are for inventions, processes, designs, things that are new and unique. So if you invent this amazing cat grooming brush, unlike anything else on the market, yeah, a patent would protect your invention.
This is pretty complex. Do you think it's worth it for online businesses to get legal help early on?
If your intellectual property is important to your business, absolutely. Think of it as an investment. A lawyer can help you with all this complex stuff, make sure your assets are protected, and they can write good contracts to prevent problems later on.
Speaking of contracts, I used to think contracts were just for big companies.
That's a common misconception, even for solopreneurs. Contracts are important. They're like your business relationship insurance policy.
Okay, I like that. But online, everything moves so fast. Do you really need a contract for everything? Can't we just rely on emails or DMs or something?
Well, those can be legally binding in some cases, but it's not the best foundation.
Okay, not very stable.
Exactly. Imagine you hire a web designer for your new site. You talk about the work, the timeline, the payment, but then things go wrong. The website's not what you wanted. Deadlines get missed. Now you're in a fight with nothing to back up your side of things.
Yeah, sounds messy.
A good contract lays it all out. Payment, deadlines, rights. It prevents miscommunication and protects everyone.
So it's not about not trusting each other. It's about clarity, making sure everyone's on the same page.
Exactly. It's a roadmap for your business relationship.
Okay, so we've got business structure, licenses, intellectual property, and the power of contracts. What else do we need to stay safe in this digital jumble?
Well, we've got to talk about data privacy. You've probably heard of GDPR and CCPA, right?
Oh, yeah. Who hasn't these days? It seems like every website wants you to accept their cookie policy.
Yeah, all that stuff. Cookie policies, privacy notices, terms of service. It's all about data privacy, how businesses use people's information.
With all the data breaches and stuff, it can be overwhelming trying to figure out what we need to do.
I know what you mean. But the principles are actually pretty simple. It's about transparency, consent, and control.
So basically be upfront with people about what data you're collecting, get their permission to use it, and give them ways to control their information.
You got it. It's like having a respectful conversation about how you'll use their data. No tricks, no hidden agendas.
I like that. It sounds more like being a good person online than just a legal thing.
Exactly. And that builds trust with your audience, which is crucial for any business.
All right. We've talked about a lot, from business structures to data privacy. Feels like we're just getting started.
Well, no business conversation would be complete without talking about taxes. And yes, even online businesses have to pay taxes. But we'll save those exciting tax tales for part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're picking up right where we left off, talking about online business legalities. Last time we talked about business structures, intellectual property, data privacy, all that good stuff.
Yeah, we covered a lot, but there's still more, like taxes.
Oh, yes. Taxes. Can't forget about those.
The big one that trips people up is sales tax. People think just because they're online, those old rules don't apply.
Yeah, like it's the Wild West or something.
Yeah, right. But that's not the case. It all comes down to nexus. Basically, where your business is. If you have a presence in a state, like an office, a warehouse, even just you working from home, you probably need to collect sales tax from customers in that state.
So even if I'm like on a beach in Bali, running my business from my laptop, I still need to worry about sales tax in the U.S.
Yeah, you do. The online world doesn't change those rules. And it gets even more complicated because some states have economic nexus laws. That means even if you don't have a physical presence, if you make enough sales in that state, you might still need to collect sales tax.
So they're tracking our digital footprints.
Kind of.
So how do we keep up with all these sales tax rules?
Honestly, they change all the time. It's best to talk to a tax professional, someone who specializes in e-commerce. They can help you figure out what you need to do.
Okay, makes sense. So that's sales tax. What about income tax?
Oh yeah, that applies too. It doesn't matter if you're selling digital products or physical products, you got to pay income tax on your earnings. And just like sales tax, the rules depend on your business structure and where you're located.
Sole proprietorships, partnerships, LLCs, corporations, they all have different rules.
Right. For example, sole proprietors and partners report their income and expenses on their personal tax returns. LLC members have some choices. They can be taxed as a sole proprietorship, a partnership, or even a corporation. And corporations, well, they file their own separate tax returns.
Sounds complicated.
It can be.
So the takeaway is figure out your business structure, understand how it affects your taxes, and don't try to do it all yourself.
Definitely get some professional help.
Right.
And there's one more thing, international taxation.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
If you start selling to customers in other countries, you have to deal with their tax laws too. Things like VAT, currency conversions, even international tax treaties.
So if I sell my awesome cat grooming course to someone in the UK, I need to worry about UK taxes too.
Exactly. It can get pretty complex, but there are experts who can help.
Okay, I'm adding international tax expert to my resume. Just kidding. But seriously, this is all important stuff.
It is, especially if you want to grow your business globally.
Speaking of global expansion,
There's another legal aspect we need to talk about. It's especially important for e-commerce businesses.
okay, bring it on.
E-commerce regulations.
Sounds like fun.
It's all about protecting consumers and making sure everyone's playing fair.
So making the online marketplace a safe place.
Exactly. There are regulations like the MTC's Mail, Internet, or Telephone Order Merchandise Rule. It's a long name, but it basically sets rules for e-commerce businesses. Things like advertising, order processing, shipping, refunds.
So no more hiding those crazy shipping fees.
Right. Transparency is key. Be upfront with customers about pricing, shipping, refunds. And speaking of refunds, that's where a lot of businesses mess up.
Yeah, I've seen some terrible return policies, full of fine print and loopholes.
You got to have a clear and fair policy.
So do you have to offer refunds for everything?
It depends. Some things, like perishable goods or personalized products, might have different rules. But in general, you should offer refunds. It builds trust with your customers.
It's like they say, under-promise and over-deliver.
Exactly. A good return policy can be a selling point.
Okay, that makes sense. What about shipping? That can be a nightmare, even without legal stuff.
Oh, I know. Shipping has a whole set of legal considerations. Delivery timeframes, tracking, packaging, insurance, and if you're shipping internationally, it gets even more complex.
Yeah.
Customs regulations, import duties, all sorts of things.
Sounds like you need a lawyer just for shipping.
It can be helpful, but there are also great software solutions that can help you stay compliant.
Okay, so we've covered sales tax, income tax, international taxation, and the legal maze of shipping. Anything else?
One more thing. Website accessibility.
Oh yeah, we touched on that before.
It's important. It's about making sure your website works for everyone, no matter their abilities.
People with disabilities?
Right. Visual impairments, hearing impairments, motor impairments, cognitive differences.
And it's not just a nice thing to do, it's the law.
Right. The ADA requires businesses to provide equal access, online and offline.
So what kinds of things should we do to make our websites accessible?
Lots of things. Provide alternative text for images. Make sure your site can be navigated with a keyboard. Use clear and simple language.
What about font sizes, color contrast, captions on videos?
All important. It's about creating a good experience for everyone. And there are tools and resources to help you do it.
Okay, this is all great information.
I'm glad it's helpful.
Should we move on to part 3?
Yeah, let's save the final tips for the last part.
Sounds good. Stay tuned for part 3. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been through a lot. Business structures, intellectual property, taxes, e-commerce.
The whole legal jungle.
Exactly. But now, I'm ready for some actionable advice. Things we can do right now to protect our businesses.
Okay, I've got you covered. First up, documentation.
Oh, fun.
I know. It's not the most glamorous part of running a business, but it's crucial.
So we're talking about contracts, invoices, receipts, all that stuff.
Everything. Any document that relates to your business. Keep it organized and keep it safe.
Like building a legal fortress.
Exactly. Those documents are your weapons, if you ever have to defend yourself.
So what if you don't have good records?
It's like showing up to a gunfight with a knife.
Okay, I get it. Documentation is important.
And don't forget about backups. What if your computer crashes? Or you get hacked?
Yeah, that would be a disaster.
Backups are like insurance for your legal health.
All right, backups too. What else?
Regular legal checkups.
Like an annual physical for my business.
Exactly.
So meet with a lawyer, go over my contracts, policies, procedures.
Make sure everything's up to date.
Because laws change all the time.
They do. What was legal last year might not be legal this year.
Makes sense. So regular checkups are like preventive maintenance.
Exactly.
Okay. Anything else?
This last one is more of a mindset shift.
Okay, tell me more.
You need to become a lifelong learner.
About the legal side of online business.
Yes. The online world is constantly changing. New technologies, new platforms, new business models.
It can be hard to keep up.
It can, but you have to try.
So read industry newsletters, legal blogs, listen to podcasts.
Exactly.
Stay informed.
Be proactive.
Don't wait for problems to happen.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm feeling motivated.
Good. Remember, you don't have to do this alone.
Right, there are resources and people who can help.
Lawyers, online communities, the Small Business Administration.
It's about building a network of support.
Exactly.
So to wrap things up, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
Don't think of legal compliance as a chore.
Okay.
Think of it as an opportunity.
An opportunity for what?
To build a strong and ethical foundation for your business.
I like that.
By doing things the right way, you're building a brand that people can trust.
And that's what will make you successful in the long run.
Exactly.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been my pleasure.
This has been an amazing deep dive into the legal world of online business. I hope our listeners are feeling informed and ready to go.
Me too.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.